Is spelling to communicate legit? Can spelling to communicate be considered a legitimate alternative communication method for nonverbal individuals with autism? Or does it remain a subject of skepticism? I've gotten some questions like those, so let me address them here. Spelling to communicate still remains a subject of skepticism. However, there is one clinical study that used technology to track the eye movements of the person spelling. The technology showed that the person spelling actually looked at the letter first before selecting the letter, therefore providing evidence that the person spelling was the actual person spelling. The field of speech therapists and some other areas, they don't really accept this one research study, and they want more research studies. There will be a need for parents and spellers to take the chance and learn this technique. Otherwise, there'll be nobody in the clinical studies, and this technique could not be studied further. Is spelling to communicate facilitated communication? That's another good question. Why is facilitated communication controversial? Another good question. Facilitated communication is a technique that's designed to help individuals who have limited communication skills. And many times that's with someone with autism. A facilitator supports the person's hand or arm and guides them to pointing letters or symbols, and the whole goal is to enhance their ability to communicate. However, the controversy arises from the facilitator support, that person. Numerous studies and expert opinions have raised questions about unintentional facilitator influence. Research suggests that messages generated through facilitated communication might be inadvertently shaped by the facilitator rather than reflecting authentic thoughts of the individual. This is where all that skepticism has come from. Major health organizations in the US caution against the use of facilitated communication due to these concerns. They emphasize the importance of evidence-based communication interventions. Very wise. They do need to reevaluate their stance because there's one published study and hopefully more coming. And I will say the research that was done in that study, the communication partner is what they call it, did not touch the hand at all. There was no facilitation in that way. So it gets very technical as to whether spelling to communicate is facilitated communication. That's a very interesting debate because it's not very clear. What are some other examples of facilitated communication? Are they successful? Anytime hand under hand is used, it breaches the area of facilitated communication. Let's take, for example, PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System, PECS. Usually, these are these small, like laminated squares that have pictures on it. A lot of times they have Velcro on the back, and you pull them off to show a picture of what it is that the person desires. They put it sometimes on a schedule or sometimes in a book. However, many times the child either has difficulty pulling off the Velcro or for whatever reason, a person with them might help them by moving their hands. So PECS, which is highly accepted, can turn into facilitated communication based upon how people interact with that person. So many things can become facilitated communication if someone starts providing assistance. What are the key controversies surrounding the effectiveness of spelling to communicate? Influence of facilitator. The controversy is critics argue that messages produced through spelling to communicate may be influenced by the facilitator, but there's not really a facilitator. So there's a disconnect as to what's truly going on with the speller and the spelling. That's why using eye tracking technology is just brilliant, because use technology to answer that question. Another controversy is the lack of scientific evidence, right? We went over how there's one research publication, and I'll put the link down below for that video, You need more than just one research publication. And it takes people to do that research. So people have to learn S2C so that we can see exactly scientifically how it works. Another controversy is, well, just use one of the other techniques that are accepted and available. Not everybody is successful in communicating with what's out there already. That's the reason why we develop new things. So if somebody really wants to, let's say, go to college and pursue their dreams, how can they do that with PECs, with these little Velcro things? You can't take a science class with PECs. You really reach the limit of academic involvement using any type of word substitution. So yeah, there are different apps and things like that where you could press the button. But when you're learning academically, as so many people with autism can, they're just limited in their expression. There needs to be ways for someone to communicate their full thoughts. If you can't speak, there's typing. And if you can't type and use fine motor skills, the next best thing is gross motor skills. And that is what S2C is all about. If you found this video to be helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to get the cutting-edge scientific information about autism so that you can make the best decision for your child based on quality information.